What?
But yeah, this bill, it's SB 79, and it is the worst housing bill since SB 50 8 years ago, which God bless them, the grassroots got together and killed SB 50. And because Weiner has termed out this, you sort of view this as him trying to light the place on fire, forgive the metaphor, on his way out the door. And you're absolutely right. It would require LA, cities around the state would have no option, as long as they're within a quarter mile or a half mile of a bus stop. And there's a couple of tiers that, frankly, are irrelevant. We don't need to go down into those weeds because we know what the ultimate objective is that if you're within a half mile of a bus stop, with very few exceptions and limitations, your neighborhood is directly in the crosshairs. And none of it would be affordable. None of it would be livable, no setbacks, no green space. Imagine how many trees they'd be chopping down, how many gardens and green spaces they'll be tearing up. And, they want us all to live in these Soviet-style glass and concrete and steel hellholes. And we won't have cars. We'll be relying on the bus. So we'll be playing Russian roulette every time we want to go out and get a cup of coffee on Metro these days. By the way, don't you love the fact that Metro spent millions of dollars installing shields for their drivers, but not for us?
Yeah. Well, they don't care if people die on their buses and trains. It doesn't matter to them.
Right, as long as they can still move around. Yeah, exactly. So there are some technicalities, and again, they're not even really worth getting into because
let's do the technicalities another day, though. Because what people need to know is if somebody sells out in the neighborhood, a developer could come in and build a 10-story apartment building right next door, right across the street. And that could be done over and over again if they're within this half-mile range of a bus stop.
And there's another little detail, which is developers, because they have such great relationships with these transit agencies these days, like Metro, which people really need to understand that transit agencies have become planning departments. Metro, and we have this verified from the inside, John, Metro will actually move a bus stop a couple blocks so that the property in question that the developer wants to develop under existing so-called transit-oriented development incentives falls within that range. And then as soon as all the plans are approved and the building breaks ground, Metro moves the stop back to where it was.
There are some Democrats who are pushing back on this. Are there enough?
Well, perfect question, John. And this is the call to action. Everybody listening right now, please, please, please call or email your state senator, because there is a lot of pushback. I heard from a state senator just a couple days ago who said that Weiner is worried that he does not have the votes. There's a Democrat. She's an absolute star. Her name is Aisha Wahab. She's from up in Hayward, up in the East Bay, in the Bay Area. She's actually chair of the Housing Committee, and she voted no on this in committee. She voted no on this in appropriations, and she's one of the leaders leading the fight against this bill, and she's a liberal Democrat. So this is the time for people to make those calls. It takes literally 15 seconds. You can actually call after hours and just leave a voicemail if you don't want to talk to one of these dopey staffers. You can just call and leave a voicemail. It takes literally 30 seconds, 15 seconds. You can dash off an email. And I'm here to tell you it works. These senators, these lawmakers are feeling the pressure. We know there are several Democrats who are definite no's. And so now is the time for maximum pressure, because if we can defeat this bill in the Senate, Weiner is badly wounded. He's already badly wounded because he's had to amend this thing 5 times over all this opposition.
Why is he so crazy against people who live in the suburbs? What's the obsession here?
He is bought and paid for by big real estate. If you look at his
say that again. Say that again, because your phone blipped out.
He is bought and paid for by big real estate. This has nothing to do with affordability, nothing to do with sustainability. He is an errand boy for the biggest, most unscrupulous real estate developers in the state and in the country, and that's provable by his campaign donations. He, by tens of thousands of dollars in every election, takes more than any other senator, any other lawmaker from these real estate developers, and then he turns around and he writes bills that if they pass, just line their pockets. It really is as simple as that.
And his cover story is always the environment and climate change.
Sure. He's not a progressive. I don't know what he is. He's a Chinese-style capitalist is what he is. And he is bought and paid for, and he's very effective because, frankly, a lot of voters, they see a guy who's LGBTQ and who's otherwise progressive, and they can't possibly comprehend that he's actually not one of them. He has weaponized his own identity, and he's been very effective at it. But the reality is he's bought and paid for as a lot of.
Well, he's a water boy for these real estate interests. This is just corruption. This is oldest story in the game. Garden variety corruption.
It's demonstrably failing. Every place. Look at Santa Monica. Santa Monica has been pursuing this stack and pack, bus-oriented density for 25 years. It's one of the least affordable cities in the state, and it has one of the highest vacancy rates in the state. So Santa Monica proves that this doesn't work. You've got thousands of empty units in these brand new glass and steel buildings downtown. They're offering 2, 3, 4 months of free rent, gym memberships, Visa cash cards, just to try to entice warm bodies in the door. So we can see that this, on top of everything else, the corruption and the destruction of neighborhoods, it's a proven failure.
1 week, it seems they want to legalize buying teenagers for sex. The next week, gasoline is going to $8.50. Now they're trying to destroy single-family neighborhoods with these gigantic apartment towers. Why do they want to destroy everything? They want to destroy kids. They want to destroy. Why? My one man's opinion is that it's ultimately all about power. Because if we do end up living in these dense stack and pack concrete hellholes dependent on transit, what freedoms do we have left? We'll be dependent on the big tech companies to deliver everything to us. We'll be dependent on Waymo and buses to get around. We'll get most of our entertainment streaming through Netflix, do most of our socializing on Facebook and Instagram. I think it's all about power and profit. I think they want a captive audience, and Scott Wiener's doing everything he can to deliver it to them and make the developers countless billions in the process. He's evil. All right, Chris, I know you'll stay on top of this. Please let us know. Please call Ray and tell us if there's any advancement for this horrible, evil bill.
I will. And again, just really quickly, please, everybody listening, you can just Google who is my California state senator. Take that 30 seconds to shoot the email or make the call. It is making a difference. We can beat this thing.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Chris LeGras.
Thanks, John.
He's a journalist, and he's covering Scott Wiener's just, that guy's just a human bowel movement. He is the worst. Out of all of them up there, he's the worst. And it would require cities to approve anytime some developer comes in and wants to build a 10-story apartment building in your single-family neighborhood. The only requirement that matters is whether it's a half mile from a bus stop.